Oh buddy, get ready for some scenery. In this episode we're trekking over to Desert Queen Baths, spending a few days there and doing a hike. Then we have to head out of Carawine. There's a few points where we try and be wise. There's a lot of rough tracks to cover. Now, where did I leave you last time? That's right, back at camp. We were going to have a shower, weren't we? Big tank full of river water that Jake scooped up using that bucket earlier. I'm going to put some back in the bucket. About half a bucket will do him. And then this is the part that's going to make the shower magic. This is why we're using a stainless steel bucket, so we can heat the water for our shower. Once that's heated up, I'll show you what we're doing for the shower bit at the other end. Okay, bucket of hot water. Got this shower tent. Jake just had it lying around home, and we just pop the bucket of hot water in the corner. I've got this Ridge Rider 12 volt shower, which couldn't have cost more than 30 bucks, I don't think. And that's a little submersible pump. Drop that in the bucket of warm water up there. Shower head. Now turn it on and off. And then over here. And there you go, just connected to my secondary battery. So, Jake, your turn for shower.
Thanks, bro.
It was agreed by all in the party that this was a favourite campsite. This was the only spot we camped where there was absolutely nobody else. The view was amazing, and just being able to spend an afternoon in a camp chair and watch it go by made this camp something special. Then night fell, and it was time to hike across to the next hill and inspect a cave we'd seen earlier. We're going for a night walk. Camp is behind me, and a kilometre up that way, I know because actually 1.1 kilometres. I flew the drone over to it earlier. There's a hill with a couple of caves in it. So we're going to go check out these caves, stumble through the dark. Got a camera here, so if anything exciting happens, you'll see it. Oh man, leave us a comment if you felt like you were playing Slender watching this bit. Oh.
Not much to it.
No.
Some poo in there.
Oh well, found something. Yeah, that looked a bit more impressive from a kilometre away. It's kind of just a day rest area for a rock wallaby. Well, we made it up to this ridge, found the caves. They looked a bit bigger through the binoculars and on the drone, but it was a nice night for a walk. And our camp is that way. It's barely a little blip of light, but we can see it. Before we left, I took a bearing on my compass, little compass on my wristwatch, so if it comes to the worst and we can't see camp, we'll still get back. I'm just going to double check that again now from this rock. before we start the trek back through the dark.
Look at this little guy. Nearly stepped on him. Scared the bloody life out of him. Now I'm blinding him to death. Hey little buddy.
That little creature is a button quail. I used to keep a few at home. Made it back to camp. All good. You don't need to worry. That's about it for tonight. I'm going to bed. Tomorrow we're trekking back that way towards Desert Queen Baths. See you in the morning. So you remember from the last video, coming in along the Graphite Valley track? Well, to get to Desert Queen Baths, we have to head back that way. They told me Graphite Valley track would be difficult, but it was easy.
Oh, I see. So we're going back to along there and up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as Jake says, we're going back along Graphite Valley track, west, and then north, and then, what would that be, southeast down to Desert Queen Baths today.
Up and around.
Yeah, because you can't go through.
Yeah, you can't go over those ridges. You get spin effects right up in your gums.
Yeah. So, Graphite Valley track, awesome. Good fun, some good four-wheel driving. A little bit of track building was needed for the Prado here and there. Wasn't too tight and scratchy, but spin effects. Gotta look out for the spin effects. There's a lot of overgrown grass and spin effects everywhere. We've checked our radiators and aircon condensers a couple of times. Made sure there's no spin effects seed clogging them, not a thing in them. And every so often, quite regularly actually, get under the car and check for spin effects bunched up around your exhaust, because that starts a lot of fires.
And it's good just to look under your car. Like,
Yeah.
we love our vehicles and they're
See
good to
what's
look
falling,
at.
See what's falling off.
Yeah.
There's this old fella called Jack Absalom. I quite like his videos. A couple of you might have heard of him. He gave me this tip, right? So
He gave you the tip.
Yeah, he gave me the tip. He used to drive all sorts of strange vehicles across the middle of nowhere, and he had quite a few grass fires, he reckons, under his exhaust. It's all well and good to carry a fire extinguisher, but they're kind of a single-use item. And he was finding he was having like up to 5 grass fires under his car a day, so he put me onto the idea of carrying one of these, just a pressure pump spray bottle full of water, so you can quench those numerous fires that pop up. This one here is full of river water. It says danger, do not lick. It's probably a pretty wise piece of advice to follow. It used to contain brake cleaner, so that'd be why it says danger, do not lick. So I'm just keeping that on the passenger footwell.
And you get a good quality one, the one that holds the pressure, you know,
Yeah.
one that can handle the desert and being knocked around in the car and everything. And you know that if that's held brake cleaner, then it's going to hold water just fine.
Yep. So that's that tip. Down at my feet, primed, ready to go in case we smell smoke. Let's hit the track, Jake.
Sweet.
Camels are a pest in Australia. They were introduced in the 19th century for transportation and exploration into our arid areas. They weren't a problem until motorised transport became dominant, and camels were just released into the wild, where of course they thrived, in the desert.
judge the difficulty of the track by, we've got a stock Prado along with us with a good driver.
Yeah.
And if you can get a stock Prado with very, very good quality tyres.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's pretty much entirely stock.
I've gone the wrong way.
You have gone the wrong way. Pretty much entirely stock, except for a brand new set of all-terrain light truck duty tyres. Very important. We did see one 200 series cruiser out here on the standard highway terrain tyres they come with. I reckon that bloke is nuts. After what happened to those highway tyres on the Land Rover on the Holland track, I would not ever have a highway terrain tyre in country like this, especially when this is the most remote national park in Australia.
And Alex, you make a good point there. The fact with these sort of newer, more comfortable vehicles, the suspension is often so good on the 200 series and on the new Discos that you can't feel the terrain beneath you so much, and so a lot of people don't even let down their tyres.
Yeah.
Well, with highway terrain tyres, you don't want that sidewall to be curving around and touching the ground.
No.
Don't go out on highway terrain tyres at all.
It was a bad move.
Yeah, you've seen what happens, and we're glad to be able to show you that footage of what happens so you don't make that mistake.
This is the famous Desert Queen Baths, and I'm pretty stoked to be here. Beautiful pool surrounded by rocks and reeds and trees and bird life. It's probably the most sought after destination in the park, and I can see why. It's the most abundant source of fresh water. It's bloody freezing. There's some petroglyphs around here, which is a technical term for Aboriginal carvings. And here you go. Have a look around the place. It's beautiful.
We are doing 2 nights here at Desert Queen Baths, and tomorrow, Jake and I are taking a cross-country hike. Just across from camp lies Desert Queen Bath Cave. That's where we're starting our hike from.
You impressed, Jake?
Looks new to me.
This rock is just weird.
There's some art in there. Somehow I get the feeling the art isn't as ancient as art in the surrounding areas. Alright, we were just sitting here talking about how the whole roof of this cave looks like river stones. And our theory is tectonic forces, and it used to be a riverbed. And then one day the earth got a bit angry and turned itself up and over. So now instead of the river stones lying all flat like that, they've been flipped up, and now they're all running that way. That's pretty cool, if you ask me. Okay, Desert Queen Baths Cave is behind me, and from here we're going to take on a hike, which I've planned out on Google Earth. So I hope it works. It goes up above the hill behind me, over a few ridges, down a valley, and I think the most spectacular point will be when we can climb a sand dune and look out over a big sand desert. Then it goes back down the hill, follows the riverbed in a big circuit. So if we don't come back, it was nice knowing you. I love you, Mum.
I meant to say my mum, but it sounded more like your mum. Oh well, tell your mum I love her.
That's where we got to get over, that ridge. Clamber down these rocks through the basin there, get around into that next valley.
Now we're in the centre of the valley that we're going to walk down. So navigation should be pretty easy from here. All we got to do is keep a wall that side, and head straight down there and dodge spin effects.
And if you get lost, just remember to look at the sun and then you know you're still on the planet.
Yeah, that's true. Look down, you're not in outer space, still on the planet, you're all good.
You can still breathe.
Yeah, as long as you're breathing, you're set, mate. Onwards! We're arriving at the top of the sand dune, which I've marked on the GPS, so all you have to do from that way where I marked the start of the valley, just follow it all the way here. You can pretty much see the sand dune from, what was that, probably 2 k's, Jake?
Yeah.
2 k's through the valley. It's a lot of winding, dodging spin effects and trees. You want to try and keep away from the trees because spiders everywhere. Now from the top of the sand dune, we came from that way, we head straight down that way, so let's head directly southeast, Jake.
Found a creek bed. For some reason spin effects doesn't grow right in the creek bed, so saves a bit of time. It's a nice, you reckon that's a wattle?
Yeah, some sort of wattle.
And some of it smells really good. Doesn't seem to be quite so much hay fever reaction with this very native sort of wattle. Waffle.
Man, I could go a waffle.
Oh man, native waffle.
So after we came down off the sand dune, we got onto this little creek, Sandy Creek, and we opted to follow that south to southeast. It varies a little, it's a bit winding. Eventually, it comes back down to the main river. I've forgotten the name right now. I'll let you know at the end. I was quite surprised to find water here. Now all we have to do is follow that approximately west, and we'll end up coming back around to the cave. Well, it ruined us. We did our circuit from the Desert Queen Bath's cave, around through the secret valley, up onto the sand dunes, back down into the river, and then followed the river around to the cave. What do you reckon, Jake?
Oh, I thought it was really specky. Lots of spiders.
Lots of spiders.
Jump out at you, so to speak.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting little animal tracks.
Yeah, there was, wasn't there?
Things that you go, what on earth made that? And I think if I wasn't so buggered from yesterday's rock climbing,
Yep.
I'd be less knackered now. But yeah, really good hike. I wouldn't recommend it if you haven't hiked before, but if you like a good hike, do that one.
Yeah, keep in mind that it's all cross country, there's no track to follow. I will, in my trip plan and waypoints, I will include the full Google Earth maps with waypoints on them and waypoint files. So if you want to get your hands on that, that'll be in the store with the whole trip over on intenseoffroad.com. Now, in terms of gear we carried with us, Jake, what would you recommend you carry on a hike like that?
Yeah, I recommend stay away from the gear. Stay off the gear, folks.
Stay off the gear, but carry lots of equipment.
Yeah. In terms of gear, look, just carry a comfortable backpack with enough water.
2 to 3 litres, is it? 2 to 3 litres per person per day?
Yeah, depending, it's not too hot out here, but the sun does do you in a bit, so take a lot of water. I probably didn't drink as much as I should have out there.
Yeah.
But we had the water, should we
have started dying.
Yeah. So always take a lot of water with you.
First aid kit, that was in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, plenty of snake bandages.
Obviously our minimal navigation equipment.
Yep, navigation equipment, that's important. So you'll have the maps that I give you, and a good compass will do you favours, as well as a GPS so you can use the waypoints. But always have that compass just in case the GPS fails.
And always hold the compass away from your GPS.
Yeah, I'll have to show you that sometime. The compass is really affected. Like, I had my phone in one hand, have to put the compass about this far away, or else it swivels at almost 180 degrees out.
We also took along the EPIRB, always carried the EPIRB with us. Now, I call it EPIRB because that just rolls out of the mouth better than personal locator beacon, which is what it is.
Yeah, so if you get in trouble, hit the danger button. It'll locate your person via a beacon.
Don't hit that button unless you really
unless you're dying.
Need it.
If you stubbed your toe, it's not good enough. You'd have snapped your toe off. Actually, no. If you've snapped off everywhere from the knee down, hit the button.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to go and nap away the afternoon. It's a bit warm. We're a bit knackered.
We spent a solid afternoon just chilling around camp. Nice to have a rest day away from the wheel. Tomorrow, we have some Ks to cover.
We're leaving Desert Queen Baths this morning, and I'm just juicing up the petrol. 60 litres I've got in jerry cans. Oh, in you go. She's been pretty good on fuel. It's not quite hit the empty mark yet, and we still have the 25 litre sub-fuel tank. But I want to empty these jerry cans in because this one in particular, a little breather up near my hand there, has cracked, and it's starting to, as we're going over the rough ground, slosh just enough to stink. There's a little bit of a leak up on the top of my car, so there's a bit of diesel on the roof. This is the one that had to go in the car, so it was starting to stink. So we'll dump all 60 litres in before we head off today. Without the jerry cans, the patrol wouldn't quite have made it to the fuel at Nullagine. Could have fueled up at the Palmgur Aboriginal community at the south of the park if I was willing to pay over $3 a litre. Works out more economical to buy jerry cans, strap them on your roof.
Today's mission is to get from Desert Queen Baths to Carawine Gorge for lunch, and then Running Waters for a 2-night camp. A leisurely 314 kilometres via the Telfer Mine Road, out of the northern entry to Kalamilyu. Reports from other travellers suggested that the northern entry to Kalamilyu was rougher than the southern entry we used. I reckon they were pretty close, but the northern entry was very slightly worse. Right on the northern border of the park is a hand pump bore. There's a bore on the southern entry too, but the hand pump is long gone. They say not to rely on this water source, although it was plentiful when we arrived. It does smell like a bore though, and it's slightly salty. If you're allergic to bees, now's the time to stop being allergic to bees. So the bees around this well have come upon the elixir of life out here and died in it. Yeah, so there you go. Northern hand pump bore, has water, is operational. Stinks a little bit like bore water. We're just going to be using that for showers because we've got plenty of drinking water left. We're right on the exit of Carawine National Park, and there's a sign here. It says that you got to switch your radio to channel 39, and every 5 kilometres you got to call in and say, hey, I'm a light vehicle, I'm heading northbound, don't crush me. A mining haul road, I suppose. So let's call that in. We're on 39, yep. LV entering Brittle River northbound. There you go. How unprofessional was that? Let's do it. This track took ages. You drive soft riverbeds in some spots, then rocky, hard, corrugated ground, and navigate the occasional washout. Of course, this means we couldn't make Carawine Gorge for a lunch stop. We're at probably the only exciting point along the Telfer mine access road, which is the northern access down into Carawine. This is Christmas Pool. And here in the rocks, if you can't already tell, I like Aboriginal history. There's all these carving marks where they used to get seeds from the plants around the area, pop them on the rock and grind at it with a stick or another rock, turn it into a powder, and from there they'd bake it into little, almost like cakes, bread cakes I suppose. Seed is mostly a lot of what they ate out here. Another fun fact is that when Rudel and his party were coming out here to try and find the lost expedition in Rudel River / Carawine National Park, they set up a base camp here at Christmas Pool. Their Aboriginal guides led them here, and they've carved their names just into a rock down here somewhere, I think it was. We'll pop down there and have a look. Well, I looked reasonably hard and I can't find the original carvings from, I think it was 1896 they came through here. Plenty of other heads have thought they'd carved their name up here though. Don't do it. I'm not just going to go carving tents off road in it. But anyway, they were down here on Christmas Day, December. They would have been hot as. Then again, it would have been the wet season too, so there would have been a significant amount of water in here. We're going to push on, or else the day's going to get away from us. Oh, finally, we've made Telfer Road. Once this monster passes, we can open up the throttle a bit and head for Carawine Gorge. Geez, what a job. Crawling along that slow, you'd want a good collection of audiobooks. Yes, we're on the home stretch to Carawine Gorge, a long way off lunchtime. It looks like we'll be camping here tonight and heading for running waters tomorrow. This is the last drone footage you'll see from this trip. Droney Stark met his end here. Click the little info icon there to see the video where I talk about that. In part 3 to come, we're spending some time at Running Waters before we head west to Nullagine, then north to Marble Bar and the old airbase. The journey is only just getting exciting, so if you want to get on to the next part ASAP, make sure you head to patreon.com/intenseoffroad to catch the early release of the next episode. Or at least subscribe here on YouTube and enable notifications so you catch it the moment it arrives here. And finally, a huge thank you to our top tier supporters on Patreon who are helping me to bring you these videos.